So your company just rolled out a new AI program and they're asking everybody to jump in, try the tools, document what you're doing, share your workflows. And everybody's kind of going along with it because what are you going to do? Say no? But there is something that you should probably think through about this. What if that pilot program isn't really about productivity like the big shoes are saying? What if it's actually about figuring out what parts of your job an AI robot can do without you? Because sometimes that's exactly what it is. And a lot of people have no idea that that's actually happening. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Brian. I'm the founder of A Life After Layoff, a career strategist, a corporate recruiter, and a former HR professional. And I spent the last 20 years working with hiring teams, being part of workforce planning conversations. And I know how companies think when they're starting to look through headcount a little bit closer. So today I want to walk you through the signs that a layoff may be coming, things that your company's probably not going to announce, and in some cases, things that they hope you won't take notice of. So let's get into it. All right, so sign number one, we talked about this a little bit at the top of this video, but this is one that I want to spend the most time on because it's really the most relevant one right now. Your company launches that new AI initiative, and maybe it's a pilot program. They might even select a handful of people that they want to try these new tools that they're rolling across the departments. And they'll frame it as innovation. They'll say things like, we're just exploring how this fits into our workflow, and we want you to dabble with these things and just let us know what you think. But then they ask you to start using it and using it pretty consistently. They want you to document your processes. They want you to go through entire workflows. They want you to keep the thing on while you're doing the things that it is that you do. In other words, they want you to show them how you do your job with these tools. And look, I get why people go along with it. You don't want to be the person who resists the new technology. There are some people who do that, but you don't want to be that person because that's a quick way of getting labeled as somebody's difficult or maybe not keeping up with the times, someone being resistant. But I want you to understand what's actually happening in some of these cases. They're gathering data. I think we need to be really eyes wide open about this because that data can absolutely be used to evaluate whether your role can be automated, outsourced, or just simply eliminated. Now, here's the thing. I'm not telling you to refuse because that's a terrible idea. And honestly, it's not going to help you anyway because they're going to do it whether you like it or not. But what I am telling you to do is kind of flip the script. If they're asking you to do this, become the best person in your department in these tools. Be the person who embraces it. Be the first mover. Be the person that trains everybody else. Because here's what companies are actually finding out. AI is harder to implement than they thought. It's less efficient than they thought. It's actually costing more than they thought. And in a lot of cases, it's been backfiring and backfiring pretty spectacularly. Made some other videos about that pretty recently. It produces garbage when the prompts are wrong. It produces inauthentic language. It makes a lot of mistakes. It needs people who actually understand how the work works in order to make it useful. In other words, it needs somebody just like you. Because that person who figures out how to use AI in their role and becomes the one who manages AI is going to have a leg up on the competition, especially the people. Just take a look around your department and see who's resisting it. That's who you're up against. And the people who don't, the resistant ones, are more likely to be showing up on future lists, if you get what I'm saying. Sign two is that your company's done this before. And this one has become so commonplace in today's market that it's probably easier to find a company who's laid off than one who hasn't. Now, I know this sounds obvious, but people tend to convince themselves that a layoff won't happen again. If they've survived round after round, they tend to think, well, that was COVID. That's an anomaly now. We're past that. Or that was a different leadership team and we're in a different place now. Or the business was going through a rocky patch and we're okay. Maybe. But a company who's already laid off people once, or in some cases 3 times, has already proven that it's willing to do it, especially when they're not the first mover. Usually in big layoff events, there's one company who makes the initial move, and then everybody else is kind of sitting on the sidelines waiting. And as soon as they do it, everybody else piles on. And we saw that certainly during COVID, and then probably more recently over the last couple of years with this whole AI initiative. The internal machinery for it already exists. They've already got things primed up. They got the severance letters already ready. The lists have already been made. Legal has already gone through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and they're basically ready to do it again once they move to phase 3 of their layoff plans. And honestly, your company's probably had plenty of practice doing it. They've already got their speeches prepared. They've already eliminated the ability for somebody to record their screen and put it on TikTok to make it go viral. They now just handle it through emails and all of that kind of stuff. But if your companies have multiple rounds of layoffs over the past 5 years, don't treat the current, let's just call it quiet period, as a sign of safety or a sign of stability. I would actually just treat it as a warning sign that things are eerily quiet. The third sign to look for is that they haven't right sized since the hiring spree. In fact, it's like kind of weird to think that if a company hasn't laid off somebody, that might actually be a warning sign, but in some ways it could be. In 2021, 2022, there was this crazy hiring binge, and everybody remembers it as the heyday, where job seekers got to actually enjoy a market that was more slanted towards them than the employer for like 5 minutes. Remote work opened the floodgates, and a lot of organizations, especially in tech, but not just in tech, built out teams that were bigger than were actually needed. In some cases, a little bit misleading, as the hiring that actually happened during this period of time was a lot of just replacing the jobs that got eliminated during the pandemic. But nonetheless, there was a lot of hiring. And most of the tech companies have already gone through a painful correction, especially in 2023, 2024. Slowed down a little bit, but they're still announcing layoffs. But now other industries are starting to join the fray. And if your company was aggressively hiring between 2021, 2022, 2023, and hasn't had a significant headcount reduction since then, there's a decent chance that that correction is potentially still coming. So I would just be paying attention to it. Doesn't necessarily mean that you should be bracing that if your company's actually managed properly and didn't overhire during this period of time, that you might be safe, but at least be eyes wide open. The irony is that a lot of these rules are really created out of thin air, and the company probably knew it even then, but it felt fine when revenue was going through the roof. But now that the economy is kind of rocky, it doesn't really feel as safe anymore. The next time to look for that a potential layoff might be coming is that suddenly everybody's interested in what you do all day. And this goes beyond just the AI initiatives that we talked about earlier, but more detailed reporting requirements. Your boss is starting to ask more about metrics and your tracking of things that maybe you didn't really track before, or maybe going to a deeper level of detail. Your manager is asking for weekly updates when monthly was fine in past years. Your manager may be asking for weekly updates when monthly used to be just fine, or the pressure to justify your projects or your time or your output, or probably most importantly, your results, is more pervasive now than has been in the past. Sometimes it's just a new manager, maybe a new senior leader that comes in and just likes a lot more data. I've had those instances. But sometimes it's the company trying to figure out who's underperforming on the team and who they can live without. Either way, if the level of scrutiny in your work or in your department has significantly increased and there is no clear business reason for it, you should pay really close attention to this one. The next sign to look for that layoffs might be coming is if private equity shows up or your company gets sold to private investors. Private equity has a way of screwing everything up. They screwed up most of my favorite businesses over the years, and there's no reason to believe that they would not screw up the business that you work for. So if your company has been acquired by a private equity firm or there are rumors of PE interest, just understand what that typically means. Usually, these companies come in and they buy underperforming or undervalued businesses that are maybe not run properly. And their MO is to cut costs aggressively to improve margins and then flip the company for a quick profit. But the cost cutting almost always includes headcount. And that's not a maybe, it's usually the core part of their plan. And I don't think I've ever seen a private equity company come into an organization and not make significant structural changes. Now, it doesn't mean that all private equity backed companies are bad. There are some that are actually pretty good, but you need to go in eyes wide open about the business model and what it actually is. People who come from private equity tend to look at things as turnarounds, that they have to put their stamp on things, that they have to make wholesale changes. I've had firsthand experience with this in the human resources side of things. But they're not buying the company you work for because they love the culture or the product. They're buying it because they think that they can make a profit. And unfortunately, people get in the way of profitability. The next sign to look for is that people at the top start changing, in particular, very senior leadership, new CEOs for sure, but it could even be senior executive level VP, significant turnover at even the director level and above. Leadership change almost always comes with a mandate to shake things up, whether it's a mandate from the leaders above them or somebody coming in and wanting to put their own stamp on things. They usually want to bring in their own people, restructure the teams to make it look like what they're used to in previous teams. They may be questioning roles that existed before they arrive. Decision making. A lot of times, People will get into roles because the leadership team that hired them or promoted them saw some value or maybe wanted to stick them somewhere because they wanted to like protect them. But then when a new leadership team comes in and realizes like, hey, why do we have this person over here who's not really generating the value that we want, or the direction of the company has changed, those people are very easy to circle on lists. And unfortunately, those people tend to struggle to get back to work after they've gotten laid off. So they should be paying very close attention to these leadership changes. Now, if your direct manager changes and some new person is brought in who wasn't directly involved with hiring you, I wouldn't say necessarily panic immediately, but at least go in eyes wide open about what it potentially could mean. So in other words, what I'm saying is that you're not starting from the same footing as somebody that they brought in on their own or that they chose. And there is a possibility that they're going to bring in their own person. The next time to look for that there may be layoffs coming shortly is something that we've been seeing pretty pervasively over the last couple of years, is this mandatory return to the office. And we've seen this one play out enough times that the pattern is becoming pretty clear at this point. The company announces a return to office policy, and there's usually not a lot of warning time here, and there's not a lot of flexibility. You have to show up back in the office full time at one of our key domiciles. You might have moved pretty far away from it, so you got to figure this out really quickly. It may require you to be on site for 5 days a week, maybe 3 days a week, whatever the specific requirement is for your organization. And then a meaningful percentage of the workforce either can't comply or chooses not to and decides to leave on their own. That's not an accident. And in some cases, it's a very deliberate way for them to reduce headcount without paying for, you guessed it, severance packages. If you quit on your own, they don't have to pay you. Now, here's what's crazy about this. We've watched major companies force everybody back into the office, force them to uproot and move all the way across the country in order to get to one of these domiciles. I know some companies personally who have done this too. And then they lay off people anyway. So if your company is doing this, it's either going to be a cost reduction strategy or it's a sign that leadership is making decisions that aren't fully thought through. And neither one of those is great for job security. The next time to look for, and this is something that's a little bit related to the ones we've talked about already, but it's if they ask for your resume or they start documenting roles. The company starts to ask everybody to document their role in detail. Or in some cases, they may ask people to update their skills internally through some sort of a skills database that they're collecting. And you may even sit down with somebody and they might ask you specific questions about where you're strong, what your background is, and what things that you actually like to do. Now, this one's a little less common, but when it happens, it is one of the clearest signals. And I've actually experienced this one myself as well. A company that is planning significant restructuring will sometimes do these role mapping exercises where essentially they're going to catalog what everybody does before deciding who stays, what merges, and then what positions end up going. And oftentimes you're going to sit down with some sort of departmental head or a consultant, or if you use the Office Space reference, the Bobs, and they're going to ask you all about what it is that you do on a day-to-day basis and what your background is. And they're going to ask what things that you actually want to do in the future. So in other words, if HR reaches out to you to fill out some sort of detailed job description form, submit your resume, or there's some big push for talent mapping or skills assessments, you should take that one very, very seriously. The next time to look for is that money starts disappearing or being put on hold or paused. The money's not flowing as freely. In other words, open roles don't get backfilled. That's probably the most obvious one. Somebody leaves and then the job doesn't get posted. And guess what? Everybody else gets to share in the wealth of that additional responsibility. Travel budgets end up getting cut. That conference that you plan to go to suddenly is put on hold and you're not able to go anymore. Or the team offsites get canceled. Or have seen vendor contracts get reviewed and scrutinized, and in some cases renegotiated or canceled altogether. And a lot of the little perks that you enjoy start to go away kind of quietly. So look, I want to be clear on something. None of these signs are a guaranteed layoff. So if you see a couple of them, I would say don't get overly paranoid, but there are some companies out there who are legitimately running AI pilots because they just want to be more efficient. There are some leadership changes that end up being just fine. Doesn't change anything, doesn't mean that there's going to be wholesale restructuring going on. And some return to office mandates are genuinely about culture, not cost, if you believe it. But if you're sitting there checking box after box on this list, 2, 3, 4, all at once, I don't think that that's necessarily being paranoid. It's to me, it's data. It's things that you should be paying attention to and going, these are a little weird. And if you're not doing anything with the information, you could be putting yourself at risk. For me, if I see these signs, I'm updating my resume right now. while I still have a job. I'm staying quiet with my networking, but I'm going to start ramping it up. I'm going to start reaching out to some people, warming up things, making sure that I'm collecting some of the data that I need. And, if AI pilots are a thing that are happening at my company, I'm actually going to become an expert. I'm going to double down on it. I'm going to become the person that the organization looks at as somebody that they can't afford to lose because you actually understand it. You're the one who is linking the actual experience, the human touch that is needed for it, to the technology that they need in order to make the whole thing work. So, in other words, make yourself irreplaceable. And even if they don't see that value and they eliminate you, at least you will have had that skill that you can now put on a resume, and you're that much more marketable in the open market. Now, the people who see this stuff coming and are preparing for it are going to be fine. It's all about taking contingency, being proactive, not waiting for things to happen to you, not being reactive, being proactive, and only pulling the trigger if you absolutely need to, but at least doing it on your terms. But the people who are surprised, these are the people that I speak to a lot in my coaching calls. They get blindsided. They didn't see it coming, and they don't have any of these things ready to go. Now, if you want a system to get your resume and your job search ready before you need it, I'm going to leave a link in the video description below, also in the pinned comments. But also check out alifeafterlayoff.com because it's loaded with tips, tricks, all from an insider's perspective. I've got courses, I've got coaching if you need a more sharp strategy. And if you found this useful, share it with somebody at work who maybe needs to hear it. They probably won't hear it somewhere else, and this might be the eye-opening that they need. Anyway, I hope you found this video to be helpful. Hopefully you're not somebody that is going to be subject to a layoff, just going eyes wide open. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next one.